I found this today on a 100-plus-year-old property that's by a river and used to have a small stable. It might not have anything to do with that, as a lot has changed since then. The wheel part is about 10 inches in diameter, and it looks like a pulley of some kind, but it seems too thin to hold a belt or cord. There also doesn't seem to be any other attachment points for mechanisms. Does anyone know what it might have been used for? It's the pail shelf from a 1930s cream separator. A swiveling metal platform attached to the stand or main body of the machine, designed specifically to hold a bucket or pail under the skim milk spout. It swivels, allowing the operator to swing it out of the way when the separator is not in use, or to align it perfectly with the milk spout. What is this small silver or metallic face of a girl, around 2 by 2 inches, screwed into the back of a door? We moved into this house about 3 years ago, and the previous owners left behind a bunch of small items, mostly kitchen junk, but this doozy was hanging on the back of a spare room door. We use the room as a gaming room, and we've never bothered to remove her. She just kind of gazes down at us. We don't stay in touch with the previous owner, so I'm unable to ask them as well. Has anybody ever seen something like this? It's a vintage double coat hook hanger, but the hooks are broken off. Here's mine that I got from my first home that was built in the 50s. You can actually see the busted spot where yours is missing the hooks. It was made by the American Tack and Hardware Company in 1968. What is this older item from Sears I found at a thrift store? We have no clue what it is. Around 8 inches tall by 4 inches wide and made of plastic. The salesperson didn't know what it was either. It would be nice to know what it was used for. Any ideas? It's a 1970s Sears Kenmore buttonholer attachment for a sewing machine. It's a special accessory that automatically makes buttonholes in fabric. First, you need to change the cover plate with a geared cover plate. Then you select the size of the eyelet by spinning the wheel. You drop the portion of the little template onto the gear, and you put the fabric under the presser foot, and it will do all the work. What are these 2 plastic items that came with an old toy collection I bought? Approximately 12 inches. Both have a rubber ball on the end. And it says, made by LPA Plastic Canada, 1976. I can't figure out what they are. I'm looking forward to someone figuring it out. Those are bumpers for a kayak. I have an old River Runner 5 that has exactly this. They affix to the front point, so if you ram a rock or something, it doesn't damage the kayak. They only fit the kayak they are made for, so I'd say no value if you don't own the kayak. What is this cast metal ring screwed to a wall? Found on a building in Montana. It was screwed to the side of a building, next to some fire department connections. Any help figuring out exactly what this is very much appreciated. It's a tilt plate for a portable tilt meter, a handheld device used to measure minute changes in the inclination or vertical rotation of structures like bridges, dams, and walls, if there were a fire, quake, avalanche, etc. When measuring the tilt, the portable tilt meter is placed onto this tilt plate, and it measures the wall to ensure it's stable. The user carries the instrument from one location to another, placing it on pre-installed fixed aluminum tilt plates that act as permanent reference points. What are these things dug out of the ground and filled with liquid? My neighbor was doing some spring gardening and dug up these trinkets filled with different colored liquids. Anyone familiar with these? They are floating bulbs from a 1990s Galileo thermometer, a decorative instrument consisting of a sealed glass cylinder filled with liquid, typically paraffin oil, and several floating weighted glass bulbs. As ambient temperature changes, the liquid's density changes, causing the bulbs to rise or sink based on their specific density. If a bulb is suspended in the middle, that is the current temperature. If some bulbs are at the top and some at the bottom, average the temperature of the lowest top bulb and the highest bottom bulb. If all bulbs are at the top, the temperature is colder than the lowest tag, and if all bulbs are at the bottom, the temperature is higher than the highest tag. What is this big object drifting in Lake Ontario in Toronto's East End? I would say it was close to the size of a hatchback car or a larger speedboat. It's by the Scarborough Bluffs along the waterfront trail. It's a bit away from the shoreline. I had to zoom in pretty close. Any insight is extremely helpful. That's the wreckage of the SS Alexandria, a side-paddle wooden steamer that ran aground in 1915. This looks like the boiler part of the steam engine. The SS Alexandria was a steam paddle boat that traveled along the Great Lakes from 1866 to 1915. She was originally constructed as a freight vessel, but was then refitted and extended to allow for passenger travel, making runs all along the Canadian shores with the occasional trip across to the United States. On August 3, 1915, she was sailing from Port Hope to Toronto. Her holds were loaded with items including sugar, vinegar, and tomatoes. But a brutal storm blew up along Lake Ontario, hammering the Alexandria with heavy seas and strong winds. All 22 crew members survived by forming a human chain to reach shore, and the wreck was heavily looted by locals the following day. The wreck became a local landmark, with the boiler still visible from the shore during low water levels on Lake Ontario. Does anyone have an idea what this brass harp or lyre is for? I found it in my grandmother's antique collection in the United States. Around 8.5 inches tall and like 3 pounds of solid brass. I tried asking 2 different AIs for an answer, and they spit about a bunch of ideas that didn't seem to be correct, like it being a music stand or a door knocker. Any help you can provide would be much appreciated. It's part of a 19th century wall candle sconce. It's the piece that attaches to the wall. It has 3 brass candle holders that sit in the harp, and the candle holders can easily be removed to clean or to change out candles. My wife's grandmother has had this dog statue for a long time. My wife's uncle brought it back from Texas years ago, but we are curious what exactly this is and where it's from. It's about 5.5 to 6 feet tall, roughly my height, and it feels like fiberglass and painted. Does anyone have any idea where it could have come from? Please tell us down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.